I can't get service. I've been trying and trying, but I can't get any service to my phone. I know I probably won't make it out of here, but I have to keep trying. The only issue is I can't leave my room. I can see the shadows right outside my window. I was on a road trip. I don't usually like road trips, but this one was fun. I was headed to see my parents in Colorado, driving through the mountains late at night when it happened. As I drove over the mountain pass, the snow was falling so thick that I could barely see the ominous pine trees to each side of the road. My car's radio began to crackle and sputter. I was listening to music, so obviously this caught my attention. I didn't think much about it at the time, but suddenly the car sputtered and lost all power. My car drifted to a stop. I tried to get it started, but nothing happened. No matter how much I pushed the gas or turned the key in the ignition, nothing worked. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere with no help in sight. I was just about to give up, but then I saw headlights coming down from the mountain pass. I could feel the excitement coursing in my veins, driving away the panic. I'm saved.
Hey, you there! Stop the car! I need a lift!
I desperately waved at the vehicle. It was an old shabby Jeep with dark windows, and I was surprised when it slowed down. The driver's window rolled down, and inside was an old man with a face that left me with chills. His eyes seemed to drift upward, looking more toward the sky than at me. He had warts all over his face, which seemed gaunt and stricken with some kind of illness. Still, his wide smile seemed kind enough.
How can I help you, boy?
Yeah, hey, sorry. My car broke down. I was wondering if I could hitchhike to the nearest hotel or town. His smile seemed to widen then, and he fixed his eyes on me.
The nearest hotel? I can take you to the nearest hotel.
Thank you, man. You're awesome. I hopped into his Jeep, feeling a little uneasy but grateful nonetheless. We drove off into the darkness, neither of us saying much. I was so tired that eventually I just fell asleep. When I woke up, we had pulled up to a hotel in the middle of nowhere. The building was old and run down, with a sense of dilapidation spreading over the entire premise. The old man was staring at me as he parked his car. I was about to ask him what he wanted, but he spoke first.
Enjoy your stay, son. You can stay as long as you like, but don't try to leave.
What? What are you talking about?
Just don't try to leave. Don't try to leave.
His smile gave me shivers. Still, I thanked him for his time and hopped out. I walked toward the dark glass doors and entered the lobby. As I did, however, I felt sick to my stomach. Nobody was in the lobby. It was empty and smelled stale, moldy, like it hadn't been used in years. The walls were covered with these dark paintings and strange symbols, which made me feel very uneasy. I could sense something was wrong here, but I didn't know what yet. I tried to leave, but as soon as I turned around, I saw a key card and a note at my feet. The key card was for room 113, and the note said, "For David, enjoy your stay." I stared at it with a sense of wonder and confusion. It was for me. But how's that possible? Maybe the old man called ahead? I shook my head. I didn't care. I was getting out of there. I grabbed the key card and walked right out the door and into the parking lot, then towards the dark line of trees. As I did, however, I stopped in my tracks. Beyond me, in the dark and snowy night, I could see shadowy and monstrous figures. They never really seemed to move when I was watching them, but whenever I blinked, they came closer. I ran back into my room and slammed the door shut, locking it tight. I quickly grabbed my phone and Googled the sign I had seen on the building earlier. Hotel de los Muertos. My stomach dropped as I read the description. This hotel. It had been a regular hotel years ago, until it fell into unuse and was eventually cursed, covered in foul demonic signs and voodoo magic. As I scrolled down the page, however, I saw something that frightened me even worse. I saw a photo of the same old man who had brought me here earlier. He was listed as the deceased owner of Hotel de los Muertos. I have to get out of here. What the hell? I closed my browser and began to dial 911, then hit enter. Nothing happened. I looked at my phone. No service. I was doomed. I could hear the voices of the shadows now getting closer and closer to my room. There was a tapping on the window, and then it started. A shadowy hand reaching out of the darkness, clawing at the glass, slowly and surely breaking inside. If you ever break down on a mountain pass in the middle of the night in Colorado, don't hitchhike with whoever tries to pick you up. Whatever you do, don't follow the old man back to his hotel. And if you do, you should never try to leave. If you try to leave, they'll be ready to capture you, imprisoning you in a place of terror and despair. All you can do is pray for some kind of service to your phone so that you can call for help. You won't get any, though.
Hansel, I think you went too far with the joke. Maybe, but this is Halloween.
Anyway, we're going home. Are you sure you don't want to ride?
Don't worry. You live on the other side. I'll hitch a ride. See you at my house tonight. Hey guys, my name is Hansel, and as you can see, I love Halloween. After having lunch with my friends, I tried to hitch a ride home, and surprisingly, someone stopped to pick me up. When I got into the van, there were women weirdly dressed. They told me that those were their witch outfits. At first, they were all very nice with me. They made jokes that were actually witches disguised as humans, and I laughed. But after a few seconds, everything got weird. The girls wouldn't take their eyes off me, and for no reason, they started laughing frantically. I didn't know how to react. The van went over a dark bridge, and I couldn't see anything else. At times, strands of light entered the van, and in those fractions of a second, I could see the girls' faces. Their faces were wrinkled and deformed. They were all still laughing in a sickly way. I could feel, in the darkness, how one of them jumped towards me and started kissing me passionately. As she did so, I felt dozens of worms enter my mouth and crawl down my throat. I wanted to push her away, but my body couldn't move. As if nothing had happened, we left the bridge, and all the girls acted if nothing had happened, although they were still smiling ironically at each other. Desperate, I asked them to let me out, and they didn't object. I got out of the truck and ran in the opposite direction from where they were driving, but suddenly, the van turned around and tried to run me over. I threw myself down the side of the road, and as I was falling, I noticed that the van was empty. No one was driving it. I desperately ran through the small forest looking for a way to get back to the road on the other side. Along the way, I could hear laughter and shadows moving through the vegetation. I tried to ignore everything I was feeling, and I just ran through the forest hoping to get lucky. After a few minutes, I came across a cabin. Surely, there would be someone there who could help me, or they had a phone. When I entered, it looked very neglected and almost abandoned, but it wasn't, because there was someone inside. Sir? Sorry to have entered your cabin like this, but you have to help me. I stopped my walk when I was about to touch this person's back. Those clothes, that physical connection, this was my friend. The man turned around by himself, and unlike my friend, he had an extra layer of skin on his face. The skin was broken at the mouth part, revealing a huge black hole. He lunged at me, so I used the hammer I still had in my hand to knock him down. Stunned by the blow, the creature slowed down and gave me time to jump out of the window and continue running through the forest. I had lost the hammer, but I had survived. After almost an hour of desperate running, I found the road again, and even better, a passing car stopped to check to see if I was okay. As I got into the car, the couple driving the car offered me a ride to the hospital, and I calmly closed my eyes and allowed myself to relax. That laugh, That laugh was familiar. I opened my eyes again and I was no longer in the car, but in the van. I turned around and noticed that we were just over the bridge. Everything that had happened, hadn't it?
I still didn't lose my touch. Looks like my kiss left you hallucinating.
I tried to attack them with my hammer, but it was pointless. I couldn't move. My body was totally paralyzed. The witches tore my shirt, and with black lipsticks, they drew strange symbols on my body. One of them got on top of me again and opened her mouth, but this time it was not to kiss me. From it came out a strange insect in the shape of a fetus. This insect had eyes and fangs, but it was full of blood and liquids. Without controlling it, my mouth opened on its own, and I could see it slowly crawl into my mouth. I could feel it going down my throat as I choked slowly. My eyes began to close, and when I opened them again, I was in my bed. I didn't know how I got there or what happened that day, but it was definitely real. From that day on, I started sleeping more and more, but every time I woke up, I was more tired than the night before. Also, I could swear that every time I woke up, things in my house were placed differently. This may sound crazy, but I feel that there's someone inside me, slowly taking over my body. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring, and when I look through the camera, I see that my friends have arrived. Why did they come? They never come unannounced, and I didn't talk to them. Something strange is happening to me. I feel very tired. I'm very sleepy.
Hey, Hansel. Are you okay? You sounded weird when you told us to come.
I was feeling a little sick, but I'm better now. Sit down. I'll get you something to drink. I was coming home from a concert. The road was empty, and my car broke down. I decided to hitchhike. 2 trucks passed away when I saw an RV van coming my way. I asked for a lift using the obvious hand gesture. The car stopped. The driver's side window rolls down, and a man with a red bandana over his head locked eyes with me. You lost?
No, my car's not working.
Huh. It's not safe for you to be here alone. Anyways, bye. He started driving away. I was thinking he's going to be creepy, but he wasn't.
Hey, wait!
He stopped. Now the sliding door at the back opened and 2 men came down from the car. Both were addicts with very unhealthy skin and teeth. I could smell alcohol on their clothes. A cold shiver ran down my spine.
I better get back to my car.
I turned around and started to walk away. I was looking behind just to see if they were following me or not. They stood like statues, expressionless, dead face. And then suddenly, they jumped inside the car and the car started to drive back at full speed. I ran, but it was so fast that before I could get into my car, it stopped next to me. One of those men caught my hair, but I elbowed him in the eye and ran inside the forest. It was already midnight. I could barely see in the pale moonlight. I could hear their cat calling.
Where are you gonna go? We are 3 and you are alone, babe.
I started crying. I wanted to scream for help, but I feared they'll find me. I saw a big bush and ran towards it, but as soon as I took the first step, I stepped on something, and the surface collapsed. I fell into a pit. The kind the hunters use to catch wild animals. My leg broke and I could see the bone peeking under the skin, but I bit my lips. I didn't scream. After half an hour, everything went quiet. I took off my jacket and tied it to my leg. The starry night sky was above my head. I managed to stand on my feet. The pit was my height, so I could easily get out of it, but at that moment, the pit felt safer than those woods.
Okay, Arlen. You just need to calm down. There's no way you're dying tonight. You just have to wait a few more hours.
I dozed off while waiting in the pit. when I suddenly woke up feeling a raindrop on my cheek. I wiped it with my hand, and it felt sticky. I looked above me, and one of those men was staring down at me. He had hungry eyes. Drools were coming out of his mouth. I crawled out to the other side, but he grabbed my leg. I was hurt on the other, but the willpower to leave kicked in me. I grabbed a stone and stomped him on the head. He let me go, screaming in pain. I would have run away right then, but suddenly, a bile churned in my stomach. I collapsed on the ground. I started choking, and the man got scared. Hey, what's happening to you? I coughed, and a ball of black hair came out of my mouth.
What the hell? Gosh, she's here! I think the witch is dying!
I was writhing in pain, but still pushed my body to the big bush nearby and went behind it.
Where is she?
The two others came, and the third one pointed to my bush. My eyes got blurry, and I knew it was happening to me again. My skin started to burn. I saw a weird transformation in my hand. Black, sharp nails pierced from my fingers. Bloody sight. My jaw felt tight, and I heard the sound of a bone click. I noticed my leg. My broken bone was all repaired now. Actually, during this time, I get super strength. I become mortal.
Should we check? I think she's dead. We better leave if anyone finds us with a dead chick.
Oh, shut up, you two. The man slowly approached the bush, saying, "Hey, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty." Just as he inserted his hand into the bush, I chomped on his flesh.
Save me! Save me!
His sidekicks jumped to drag him away. They pulled, and I was adamant to let it go. A tear followed by bones breaking echoed.
My arm! My arm! Monster! She's a monster!
His partners immediately left him, but before they could run away, I lunged for the bush. Only this time, I was not in my human form.
Now the hunters become the hunted.
I smashed my claw on one of them. His face came off. His lifeless body fell on the dry leaves.
Help!
The third one started to scream as I lifted him by his neck. I looked into his eyes and smiled, flashing my sharp, shiny teeth. I bit off his neck and drank the blood. After that, I fainted. When I woke up, I found myself naked lying behind a big rock. 3 half-eaten human bodies were scattered nearby. Flies have started too much on them. A flock of vultures were flying above them. My hands and mouth were smeared in blood. I felt a piece of meat stuck between my teeth. The last night flashed in front of my eyes. My clothes were lying under a tree, but they were ripped. A change that big has its toll. The jacket was still tied to my leg, which was perfectly okay now. I wore a jacket. I then searched what was remaining of those men. I found keys, wallets, and money. I took their van. I stole the first one just like this. So, if you're going home at night, never stop for a hitchhiker. You never know who they can be.